All right, so welcome to scene 9 of Black Tower Tales following Nyx and Wiggins' Shadow Cloak. When last we left our adventurers, they had just sort of explored the castle a little bit more after spending the night in the workshop, and they discovered a large banquet hall in the castle that has just a long table, sort of that's still dilapidated and aged, sort of decaying, and large stone pillars throughout. And then the one interesting thing is that this banquet hall has stairs down into the earth, basically into what I'm going to presume is some sort of dungeon. And of course, last episode we had Wiggins crafting a wand for himself so that he can better, use his magical abilities until he replaces his dagger wand. So the next scene that I have, as far as the expected scenes, is going to be Nyx and Wiggins entering the first level down into the dungeon. So what we need to do as far as the chaos table goes is test that and see. We have chaos. My microphone fell down there for a moment. We're at chaos 3, target 14, and we get to see. Stay open. All right. Testing the scene. If we're gonna have a different scene, chaos factor we need to roll under or equal to the chaos factor. And an 8, we did not. So we get the expected scene. In order to do that expected scene, we need to do some generation of this dungeon. Actually, first off, let's ask the fate question. Like, is this going to be a dungeon underneath this castle? I don't even think that's too far-fetched. Especially coming out of a banquet hall, I feel like it would make sense for it to be some sort of underground larder or something, but I think it also makes a lot of sense for it to be some sort of dungeon. So I'm going to say it's Chaos 3, so I'm going to say that's nearly certain. So I'm going to say it's very... Actually... No, I'm going to say it's certain, because we're still at 75% chance. Because we're Chaos 3. 55. Ooh, that's a double too. Okay, we got our first. Oh wait, no, never mind. We're not. We're not the same as or less than the chaos factor. So we're not gonna have a random event. But I'm happy that I recognize that double. Anyways, a 55. That's less than our 75, and we are still going to have. Or it is a dungeon down there, basically. We get to determine like what the general activity of this dungeon is. I think it's either going to be quiet or deathly quiet. Let's say, is it deathly quiet? 50-50. That's a 20. So yes, it is deathly quiet. So this dungeon is quiet as hell. It's like there's barely anything going on as far as like random encounters per hour that we're going to be rolling. We need to figure out what the size of the dungeon is. I think it would be really interesting if this this dungeon below some small castle is like gigantic. So I think if we roll really high on this D20 table, we're probably not going to keep like that. It's a gigantic, 10d6 plus 24 rooms. I think we're going to limit ourselves to tiny, small, and medium. So up to 16. That's a 4. Okay, so it's a small dungeon still. It's not a teeny tiny dungeon with 1d4 plus 2. It's got a total of 1d6 plus 4 rooms. So we can determine that now, actually. 3. It's got a total of 7 rooms. And we get to figure out what type of dungeon this is. Again, this is all information that our characters don't know yet, but we need to generate it in order to have an idea of where we're going and what sort of scenes we're going to be getting moving forward. So this is a 4. This is a temple or a shrine. Okay. And so, coming down the staircase from the banquet hall, Nyx and Wiggins encounter the starting area, which we get to generate right now, is an open entrance. Okay, so it's just a... So we get, for that we do a 1d4 roll to determine if it's a passage or a room. So it's a 3, so it's going to be a passage. And now we have the passage table. And actually we get to do some mapping here. Move our characters out of the way. Let's say that we have the entrance to the dungeon here. And this is the stairwell down. The passage that this leads into is... The passage turns left 90 degrees. So we're going to... It comes down and then goes directly left. And I think we keep going on this until we get to some sort of room. So we've got an 18. And actually, that's interesting. As soon as we turn left, there's a large opening in the floor with a straight drop down. 60 feet to a room. Okay. So there's a hole in the floor here, basically. That's interesting. Okay, so what I think that what happens there is this, it's a hole in the floor, but it's not like a hole that was meant to be there. What happened is maybe this was a trap that at some point had been triggered previously, but now it's sort of just like there's some, it's jagged around the edges, and it goes down into a hole or into a room that's a few layers down. So we've got 60 feet down, which is a good ways down. We're gonna say Wiggins, because he has his wand now, he's using that as a little torch with some of his magic abilities. And I think also that this hole is, there's going to be a passage past that hole. And we're going to see what the nature of that passage is. It continues d4 times 10 feet past, so that's going to be about 1, 2, 3. And I think for this, we're going to need to roll the passage contents to see if there's anything on the other side of this hole. A 99, actually. There's apparently loot over here. All right, this is the first time I've encountered this on this table. Roll DMG individual treasure. So instead of that, we're going to use challenge 0 to 4 table. Okay, so I went and picked up Handy Dandy Dungeon Master's Guide just to get an idea of what this individual loot... actually, it's only 60% chance of there being loot. So we need to see if that actually happens. 75. So actually, in fact, there's not any loot here. All right, that's shucks. So basically, the passage goes on past the hole in the ground. The question is, it's a big hole. So what are we going to do as far as getting Nyx and Wiggins past the hole? There's not really enough room for them to get a running jump. So I think what they're going to try to do Nyx is going to remember that they had the big open area above that had dilapidated like training equipment and things like that. I think there's a chance that or in the storage room even, there's a ladder or boards that would be long enough, strong enough to get across this, the hole in the ground. So they're both going to go back up and search the storeroom and the open area. And the question is, do they find anything? So I think they're both going to be, it's going to be doing a wisdom check to see how well they search. We got a +1, so that's a 17. So they meet the target. And the question is there something that they can use to try to get across? I think that is very likely. So we've got a 50% overall chance. Exactly 50. Awesome. So yeah, they do find some pieces of wood, some pieces of like a ladder maybe that they're able to like lay across this hole in the ground. And in fact, they get there. I'm gonna say they found a ladder in the storeroom that they can lay across the hole. And I'll do a little drawing here even. All right. And what they're gonna do in order to help, because get them across, one of them is gonna like stand on the one end to sort of stabilize it after they lay it across the hole. But then I think Wiggins is also going to try to use some of his magic as far as in order to stabilize the end of the ladder on the surface that it's going to. So basically just try to use some sort of like little glue spell or something like that to adhere the ladder to the ground. And I think that's going to be target 14 for this check in order to cast this spell. And he makes it with a 16. So that's great. So he also uses a sort of stabilization spell. And with that, I've got an accomplice here. They get across this hole. And we are able to continue down this passageway. So the next passage is a 4. Passage turns left 90 degrees. Okay. Once again. And then the next passageway is a 20 for a roll on the random architecture table. All right. So they turn the corner, and then on the wall there, I think we're actually... Let's just see what the random architecture says. Because we might need to make a passage. Oh, wow. Okay, so they turn the corner. And instead of another passageway, instead of a room, what actually happens is there's this flat wall on the other side. Like they're just faced with a flat wall, and instead of a passageway or a room, it's got this carving all the way around it that has like, it's sort of like, imagine sort of like Stargate and little inscriptions all the way in a circle up towards the ceiling and around the sides. And instead of bare stone wall in the center of this inscribed circle, the stone is sort of this roiling mass of it still looks like stone, so you can tell that it was crafted or created out of stone originally, but it's like a liquid stone that's constantly undulating and things like that. Where if you were to, you feel like if you were to touch it, it would seem like a liquid almost, even though it's not molten, right? It's not hot or giving off any heat. So what I think they're gonna do, I think Wiggins wants to take a look at this and see like what the hell is this. He's gonna figure out. He's gonna try to figure out with his magic knowledge, what the hell, what is this, right? I think it's sort of obviously a portal, so I think this is gonna be an easy target roll, but we're gonna see if he has any prior knowledge of this kind of thing. So no, he's actually never seen this sort of portal before, and so he doesn't know it could go anywhere. Anything could happen if they go through it. So I think what they're gonna do, instead of just charging through it, I think that doesn't make sense. They're going to pick up the ladder that they were using before and sort of feed it through the portal to see, like, I mean, does it actually go through? If they pull it back, what happens to it? Like, does it look unharmed after they pull it back out? So I think when they do this, the question is the ladder okay once they pull it out? Because we as sort of the DM side of things know that this is just a portal to another room in the dungeon. We know that it's all right, but they don't. So they're going to do this test and find that when they pull the ladder back out, there's not really any issues with it. It's there's no problem. The thing that I am curious about is what is on the other side of the room. Or what's in the room, basically. Because if it's some sort of encounter, they might have something coming out of the portal after them very soon here. 4. Yeah, that's a 4. So it's a level appropriate deadly encounter. Okay, so that means, and then the question I have for the fate chart is, does this encounter come to meet them out of the portal right now? I think that's 50-50. I don't know. So we got a 25, 47. So no. But we know that basically whatever this encounter is on the other side of this portal. And I'll say that, as part of the window dressing, I guess, as they insert the ladder in order to test the portal, the inscriptions around the outside are lighting up and glowing, showing that it's actually doing something, and they're just not putting this ladder on the wall, and it's not doing anything. And so the question I have is, what do Nyx and Wiggins decide to just go through the portal? I think that's pretty likely. They're adventurous people. It seems like there's nothing wrong on the other side. Maybe Wiggins sort of sticks his head through to look before actually going all the way through, holding his breath and something like that, being cautious about it. But I think it's basically certain. But yeah, 19. Yeah, it's not a hell yes, but they're definitely going through. Wiggins does stick his head through and see this deadly encounter on the other side of the room. So we're going to figure out, how big is this room? What does this room look like? First of all, it's a rectangle, 30. Oh, it's a D8 I need. Whoops. 30 by 90 with 1d6 exits. So it's a 30 by 90 room. So we've got a 30, and 3 exits. There's the portal on one side, and then 2 additional doorways opposite each other. And inside this room, what is this deadly encounter? So we have 2 PCs, and we have a level 1 deadly encounter. We need a 1 PC level 2 deadly encounter. In order to figure out what do we need? We need 2 CR 1/4 monsters. And then we go to the table here. To figure out what sort of so we're on the dungeon table. So we want the CR 1/4, which will give us. Wait, there's an urban table, isn't there? I'm not sure I want this dungeon Underdark table. I think if there's an urban table, I think I'd rather have that. Yes, here we go. So let's see what we roll on the urban table. 11. Skeletons, again. Okay, so we've got 2 skeletons down here. I think they've got a decent chance of that being a deadly encounter. 2 skeletons. So in this room, we've got the portal up on this far side, and then we have 2 skeletons that saw the ladder come through and were sort of meandering their way over toward the portal. We've got 30 on a side. It's a long room. The room comes out about this far towards myself. But then Wiggins pokes his head through the portal and sees the skeletons. So he has a chance to sort of prepare himself and Nyx on the other side before they both jump through. And the question is, who goes first? If it's high, the players go first. Okay. So coming through the portal, Wiggins actually is going to be just come out blasting. He's going to try to use his new magic wand, sort of test it out, put it through its motions, and lash out with a magical attack, sort of like what he did to the bounty hunters back in scene 1. And it's going to be target 14, but he's got a +2 to hit. Okay, so he just straight up misses. And Nyx comes through with her, I believe she has, she's got a bow. There's a reason I put an arrow pack on her, the back of her mini. And she's got a +2 as well to this. A 19, all right. So she is able to do a D6. So there are 2 hearts for the health of the skeletons. But she does a 6 + 1. So 7 damage to, let's say, skeleton 1 over here. And now the skeletons come up. Actually, we have a question for the round-by-round reactions of the monsters. For 57, creatures just use their main attack. So each of them come up. One of them is swinging at Nyx with a +2. That succeeds. And the other one swings at Wiggins and misses. So Nyx is going to take a D6 because the skeletons generally have like some sort of weapon. So I'm going to say he has a spear that he's using and does 3 damage to her. So she's got 7 left. Nyx, with the skeleton being so close, drops her bow and takes her sword out of her scabbard and takes a slash at the skeleton, trying to lop off the arm that is holding the spear that just stabbed her. 18, so that definitely hits. And she does a d6 for 1 plus 1, so that's a 9. So that skeleton, I'm gonna say she actually is able to like lash out and slash one of the arms that was using to hold the spear off, but unfortunately the skeleton is still there, able to try to stab her with the other arm. Wiggins. Yeah, I think I went in the wrong order. I was supposed to go Wiggins first. Or no, that was... Never mind. Now it's the skeleton's turn again, I believe. No, because they both got their attacks. And now it's Wiggins' turn. I think Wiggins is going to... he's going to use... yeah, I like the idea of that. He's going to pull out the small statue that he had and see if he can figure out if there's something he can do in order to create a small shield with the statue. Because when he found it yesterday, it gave him a small armor buff that has since dissipated. But I think he's going to try to use it with a magic check to create a shield around him and Nyx. I think this is going to be hard because it's something he's never done before, and it's sort of a last-ditch effort. Not a last-ditch effort, but it's just sort of he's trying to experiment. So it's going to be target 17 for him to attempt it. He has a +2, so no, he brings out this statue and does some incantations around it, but it ultimately doesn't do anything. And now the skeletons are able to attack both of them. Or actually, they're going to take their turn, but we need to figure out what it is they're doing. Oh, man. 77. That's going to be enemy takes your presence here as a personal affront and attempts to intimidate you. Okay, so each of the skeletons is going to... Actually, let's just say one of them does it, because it doesn't make sense for both of them to be in concert like that. So I'm going to say high is on the left. Okay, so the skeleton near Nyx, being at low health, attempts to intimidate her into fear, basically. So he has a +2 to his... I'll say charisma. And this is going to be a contested roll. So he rolls a 10, and she has a +2 for her wisdom in order to resist being intimidated. Oh no, so okay, so Nyx actually sort of like drops her sword and is actually scared of the skeleton and sort of like starts to edge her way back towards the portal. The other skeleton attacks Wiggins just straight up. I got target 14, does not make it. A DC 2, or he rolled a 2 with a 4 total. But now Wiggins, seeing Nyx sort of cowering, instead focuses on the skeleton over there, who... and uses another magic attack on it to try to finish it off. 14, 16, that definitely hits. For 1. Wow, okay. So that skeleton gets blasted by Wiggins and collapses. The question I have is, now that the skeleton that intimidated her is dead, I think there's a decent chance that she is recovered. So I think it's going to be easy. It's going to be a target 11 for her to come out of her fear in order to be able to act this turn. That's cocked. I know it looked like a 20, but I can't take that. 16. So yes, so she's able, with this skeleton dead, she sort of comes back to her senses, picks her sword back up and slashes at the skeleton that's left. And misses. But that's unfortunate. What does this skeleton do, though, is the question. A 68. For a 68, the creature just uses its main attack. And I think it's going to continue focusing on Wiggins here as a natural one. So he just... The skeleton basically just completely misses. Now, Wiggins doesn't really have anything that he can... Like, he could do magic in order to blast him. But I feel like trying to do a ranged attack on someone far from you, or makes sense for far from you. So I think he's going to do, instead of attacking with his wand, he's going to pull out his little dagger. Does he have a dagger? No, he pull out his sword. What does he have? Well, I guess he does have a dagger, so he could just stab at it with that, and misses anyways. And then Nyx comes in with her sword and just hacks at Mr. Skeleton. And also misses because she only has a +2. Questions. What does the skeleton do now? 85. If your last attack missed, the creature feels a swelling of courage. So I think it's kind of weird to think of the skeleton having a swelling of courage. So I think instead what's going to happen is it's going to have like this magical energy flash in its eyes that if it makes a wisdom check. So Wiggins, we're going to see what his... Actually, it's just going to use target. So it's going to be a wisdom check at +2, 10, 12, target 14. So it does not make it. So the skeleton has this flash of magical energy in its eyes and swings out with actually a blade that's magically enchanted at Wiggins with a +2. But he doesn't make it. So he has 12. But now that makes Wiggins sort of suspicious. Like, what the hell's going on with these skeletons? There has to be something crazy in this dungeon. So now Wiggins actually he's gonna back off and sort of like put his arm out to bring Nyx back a little bit as well, and blast at the skeleton with his magic wand. Oh no, everyone's missing these days. And now I think Nyx is going to basically hold her action. Like, if the skeleton comes close, she's going to attack. But she's trying to keep room between them and the skeleton. So what does the skeleton do this time? 32. It says, if combat has not yet started, monster is busy with something else. So I think because of that, basically, the skeleton's going to move up instead and just basically use its main attack. Nyx is going to attack first, does not succeed, and then the skeleton attacks and does not succeed. Wiggins finally makes an attack with his dagger and is able to do 5... Just 5. 5 effort towards killing the skeleton, and now Nyx lashes out once again. 18 with her, d6 plus 1 for 2, that's a 7. The skeleton has an opportunity to 26. The skeleton's going to end around and try to get away from Wiggins a little bit and then attack Nyx from behind. So I'm going to say he hasn't, because of that, he's actually got an easy target. So he's got target 13 or target 11 for 3. Even though he's attacking Nyx from her sort of left flank, he's still unable to hit. And now Wiggins blasts once again. 12 plus 2 is 14, so that's just enough. I think we're almost guaranteed. Yeah, actually. With this 3 plus 3. 6 more damage with that magic coming out of the wand of Wiggins. The skeleton and its glowing blue eyes sort of just poof, poof, and what isn't vaporized collapses to the floor. And with that, I think we're going to find out what's in the rest of the room, what if there's any additional treasure, and then probably go into a next room in the next scene. For the threads coming out of this scene, I think we've got the skeleton dungeon down here. I don't think we have any new cast items yet. As far as the next scene, 10, I think things were kind of out of control in this. Like they were having a hard time killing the skeleton. So I think chaos is going to go up to 4. But also having target 14 was kind of rough. I feel like that sort of dragged the combat out more than it needed to be. So I'm going to say target goes down to 13. And that is going to be the end of this scene. So I don't think we have anything else. We've still got this map. We have this map of the current dungeon, and we get to see next time where that leads to.